Welcome to episode 31 of The Player and the Journalist with Carson Harris and David Vick. In this episode, we are joined by the 2023 CAA Attacker of the Year. She holds 2 records outright at Drexel, one for draw controls in a season with 95 and the other for assists in a game with 6. And yes, she happens to be one of our favorite players. Corinne Bednarik is in the house. How are we doing today, Corinne?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Before Karson chimes in, I have to let you know my one disappointment with you is that you were in our college football bowl challenge last year.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that you were going to win, but Karson won instead. So you could have had a bobblehead, but Karson stole it basically.
I did so bad. I was like, bobblehead. Yeah, probably. Probably looks just like anyways. Yeah.
You wouldn't know. It could be Corinne.
Yeah, people thought we're twins all the time on the field anyway, so.
Hey, 2 blondes, blondes look alike, I guess. But hey, maybe if you're in it this year, you can put together a better effort. I know your boyfriend plays college football, so we expect more from you, okay?
I know. I need to be better. That was definitely disappointing and quite humbling.
Also, if you do it again this year and you happen to win, we might get some complaints that it's rigged if we have back-to-back Drexel people win. But you know what? A winner's a winner. So I'm done talking. Go ahead, Karson.
Oh, I was just going to say hi. We talked a little bit before you got on, so I'm all caught up on our life, which is nice, and we're excited to have you on. I miss you.
I'm excited to be on. I miss you.
I would miss you, but I've never met you, so I can't really say that. Karson, do you have the first question, or do I have the first question?
No, you do.
I believe it's me. Okay. Awesome. We will get right into it. So you have played and started all 61 of your career games, which is a very impressive feat. You're going to be a 5-year starter. Who gets to say that? I mean, that's pretty insane. So bravo to you. I'm curious, which game did you learn the most from out of your entire college career?
This was definitely a tough question. I think going back from last year when we played Maryland, that was probably like the coolest game we've ever been a part of. I remember we lost that game, but we felt like we won. We were all in the huddle after that game, like smiling, and we're like, why are we smiling right now? We feel like we lost, but like as a team, like, and as an individual, like we learned so much from that game. But thinking, I guess, of my 5 years at Drexel, probably like my first ever college start, which was against Johns Hopkins. I also had my first collegiate goal that game. And I think just getting that like college experience in the first game was awesome and like just unlike anything I've ever experienced before, and just carried that through the rest of my 5 years.
You definitely have. And also, if people have not seen the clip of Corinne scoring, it was a few years ago. I think it was it Temple?
I think
so, yeah. You took the stick to the jaw? Jaw like Rocky Balboa, probably better because he's always getting knocked down. But, you know, that was pretty so.
Thank you. It definitely hurt, but.
Also, Karson and I talked about that Maryland game a lot last year. Y'all were pretty impressive in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I've ever had in a lacrosse game.
Okay, well, you answered my next question already, so great start.
I do have another answer though. If you want my favorite game.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It would probably be beating Hopkins, because we played them every single year since I was a freshman, and like we always got like within 2 points. And I think like making school history and beating them by a lot was definitely like probably one of the coolest games I've also been a part of. I think just like as a team and like as an individual, like that was so fun and so cool. Like just creating history at Drexel, which is like not normally a sport that creates history and against Big Ten teams. So I think that was like definitely.
Hey, it's been a trend. It's been a trend recently.
Yeah.
We got Rutgers, and now we've got Hopkins. We're on our way.
Yeah, we're making our way to the Big Ten.
Hey, you are in the history books at Drexel already, and so is Karson. Of course, Karson was there for approximately 17 and a half years, so that, it's hard not to be in the history books after that amount of time.
When you played 700 games in your career, you're bound to get there eventually. Well, I was in the history books for one more, but now Corinne holds it, so she took my single season draw. My first ever career start and first ever career goal was also against Hopkins. That's very cute. I love that.
I knew that. That's awesome.
I didn't know it either until you just said it. I was like, "Aw," because it was our first game of the season too. Like that,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It was always
but,
like the first game. Yeah.
yeah, but it's cuter. You don't think about that part.
Great adjective, cute and cuter. Very good.
Okay, so my question for you is, what are you most proud of as you look back on your career entering your final season? Obviously, there's still more memories, but
yeah,
from
I think just everything I've been a part of, coming like stepping on the campus and like the field my very first time as a freshman to stepping on the field for fall ball practice, like first time as a fifth year. Like I think just looking back, like there's not really one thing that I can pinpoint, but I think just like all of the leaders, like your class, like everyone ahead of me that like I would like was able to like carve a path. Like Drexel was not anything that like I ever thought it would be coming here. Like Drexel was not normally known for being like good at lacrosse, and I think being a part of a team that was able to like create that path and like make it to the NCAA 3 consecutive times, like win a CAA championship, which is something that Drexel's never done. Like I just think that being a part of those historical moments has been like the coolest part.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard, like, because when you do so many things in your career, like you've done so many amazing things, you've won all of the awards that you can win, like you've broke all the records, that eventually it's like, I'm just proud of who I am and where I've gotten. And like, it's like everything. Cause you don't have like, oh, I was proud of this singular award that I won, or like this singular like thing I broke, because you've done it all. So it's like, I'm just proud of being here.
Yeah, exactly. I really am.
That's fair. Very wholesome answer out of you.
So I do have a question. You and Karson were teammates. Do you have any good Karson stories? And then we'll flip the question to Karson.
God.
Anything embarrassing? Like, did she get dumped before practice and was crying at practice? Anything that bad or anything, you know?
I just think there was an ongoing joke that she was like the most athletic human being to ever play lacrosse. Meanwhile, she was like Tuaraton watch list, like always had her skirt like sideways, like just like was just like unapologetically herself, which like me and Karson were like always super close, like when she was here. So like I think there's if you gave me some time to think about this, I could really come up with a list, but you know.
I know, I was just sitting here like I don't have that kind of memory where I can just like pull something out of my head. Like I don't have that kind of memory.
Oh.
Hey, when we had
as a person, really.
When we had Jill Batchelor on, Karson did mention the most unathletic thing when Jill Batchelor was on. So
yeah, it was definitely a thing on our team.
anything about her, Karson? Was she one of the players crying when y'all were doing that sing along in the huddle, or?
No, Corinne was always calm, cool, and collected. She always had it. I mean, she was always on the ground, but she was also calm, cool, and collected. I feel like that was like the thing with Corinne. You're like, did she get pushed or did she just fall?
It's just my momentum. Like people at practice, are you okay? I'm sorry. I'm like, you didn't push me. It's just my momentum.
Yeah.
No one's pushing me. It's just I'm going too fast for my own legs.
Like if you let Corinne just keep going, she'd eventually form like an actual orbit around the crease. Like she'd be like a planet. Like if she'd just keep going until she like locked herself into orbit. I think I like when you ask me that question, I don't have a story. I just have this like vision of Corinne rolling the crease and falling down.
Just being on the ground.
We were very lacrosse oriented, if you can't tell, about both of our answers.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Corinne, your one of your grandparents played for the Eagles, right?
It's distant. Chuck Bednarik, he it's like we just found out that we were related like a couple years ago. It's like my grandpa's like cousin's brother. Like it's pretty distant, but you know, the blood's there.
Yeah, and you're from where I'm going with this is you're from Pennsylvania, so Philly tough, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Also, one thing I did want to ask you, I know you're a big Philly sports fan. Can I get a Go Giants?
Absolutely not. Go Birds.
Okay, awesome.
That was so ambitious of you.
Hey, I've messaged a few Florida players before on Instagram. I'm like, can I get a Go Dogs? You know, for Georgia Bulldogs, they're like, get out of here. I'm like, okay, bye. What do you attribute your development as a lacrosse player to? Because obviously you're really good. You're one of the best players in the country, in my humble opinion. Okay. And also I was going, and I believe your freshman year was the COVID shortened year. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
And so, but I was looking at your numbers from year to year, and like your shooting percentages have gone up. Like you're taking more shots, you're just doing everything at a higher level and you're doing more of it. So I'm just curious, what do you think allowed you to develop into who you are today?
Yeah, I think just being a hard worker, like my whole life. Like I have 2 older siblings. My parents are very like strong individuals. Like my older brother, my older sister, like I kind of just followed in their footsteps. And I know like there were a lot of early mornings and not late nights because I'm always in bed by 9 o'clock, but there were a lot of early mornings of going to the gym, going for a run, shooting, hitting the wall, like a lot of those little things. I think that just got me here today. Like I don't think I can pinpoint either like exactly one thing. I think just working hard and keeping my head down and not really listening to the outside world, because I know there can be a lot of things going around or just things being said or not said. Especially like being on a team like Drexel, like we didn't always get the hype, and now we do get the hype, which is awesome. But I think just like always being that like go, like nose down and just grinding.
Very cool.
I think I can speak for this Corinne's like character here, because I think it's hard, like especially when you had a class like mine, when you're as good as Corinne playing with a class like mine, like a lot of the attention sometimes was on us. Like I got a decent amount of attention, like Colleen got a decent amount, Zoe, like we had a lot of attention, and Corinne was like such a critical part of our team when we were playing. And I think she sometimes like got pushed to the shadows because there was like this storyline, right, of like these players coming up. And I think like when she said she's a hard worker, like her being a hard worker is not just being a hard worker when people are looking at her, or a hard worker when she like needs to be good because people are watching her. Like she was a hard worker when no one was watching her. And like I think that's why everyone's watching her now, because like, and why she gets so much credit now, because like she was a hard worker before anybody said her name. Like before anybody was like, this Corinne girl's really good, she was like busting her butt. And I think that that's like, if I were to answer this question for her, it would be that, because I think like her just grinding it out even when the attention wasn't on her, like says a lot about her as a player. And I think that anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Karson. Oh, like stop smiling.
So for those that do not know, there is a whiteboard. Is the whiteboard still around in the
for lift?
For lift.
Yes.
In the weight room. Yeah.
Yeah, so Drexel has a whiteboard. When I first met Karson, I asked her if her name was on it. She said she was one of the weakest people on the team. I'm curious, is your name on the whiteboard in any way, shape, or form?
It was my freshman year. And then I stopped testing to do it because I don't like to get hurt by weightlifting. So I try not to push myself. I'd rather just be consistent rather than like trying to max out and get hurt by doing something silly. So I was my freshman year, and I do think that I could still get on it. I don't really push myself too hard to do that, especially when it comes to like gearing up for the season.
For sure. What was it like, bench press or squat? What was it?
It's like it's like squatting, hang cleaning, bench press. They basically like take your body weight and then like the weight that you're doing. It's like, and you get like points for it, and it's like Iron Dragon. I don't even know what the rest of the
Silver,
gold. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. At least your name was on there at one point in time.
It was on there at one point.
Mine was never a single time. Okay, so my next question for you is, it's actually embarrassing because Corinne had to call me out because I talked so much about like men's lacrosse and football and playing football that I just assumed that she'd actually played it when she was younger. And I'd known her for we're going on year like 7 or something. And I just thought she'd played it growing up because of how like often I see pictures of her in football pads, and like how often I've heard the story of like why she wears gloves and things. Because she wanted to play men's so bad that she was like, I'm going to wear gloves, and then just never took them off. So my question for you is, not that you played it when you were younger competitively, but you played it a lot with your brother in the backyard lacrosse football, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. How do you feel like you utilized or adapted any of the tactics that you took from like playing football or lacrosse with your brother in the backyard and applied it to like the women's game?
Yeah, I mean, my mom had to make me wear a helmet when I would have a catch with my brother in the backyard lacrosse, because he would actually like, when we're 6 years apart. So I was 6, he was 12, and he was just like whipping the ball at me. My mom was like, put a helmet and gloves on when you're having to catch with Dan, because he had no mercy, which, I mean, thank God he did that, because now I like feel like I love getting passes, like throwing on a rope to my stick, like, and I do that right back to people, like just having that like hard pass, get to the stick, you know. And I think just like that competitive drive, like with playing football in the backyard, my brother, my friends, like, and lacrosse, like I think just like always wanting to like learn and grow from a sport and being competitive and like aggressive, and like I just love learning about the different sports, especially when I came to lacrosse. Like Karson said, like there's no rhyme or reason why I wear gloves. It's literally because I wanted to play boys lacrosse, and I was like, I'm gonna wear gloves. My mom's like, okay, well you cannot wear boys gloves. You can wear girls gloves, and I can't. I like physically can't play without them. So my hands start to tingle and feel all weird without them. So
They tingle. That's so funny.
like people feel weird when they put gloves on now, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I feel like when I don't wear them. So they're not coming off.
That is so funny.
You and Sammy Joe Tracy, like the only two individuals in all of the world that wear gloves. So
I know, literally. I like don't even realize that it's weird until people tell me that it's weird. I'm like, well, oh well.
It's like 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, hands are sweating, gloves smell. Adds character.
It's fine.
hey, it's easy to spot you with the gloves on. So I'm sure you're a parent. Like, I don't know if this was the case for you growing up, but like my mom could never follow the lacrosse ball when I was growing up. And she's like, I need you to wear neon yellow socks or something so I can see. I'm like, Mom, I'm not doing that. And so like I don't know if that was the case, but at least your parents can spot you pretty easily.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. Definitely.
That's so funny. Anyway, that's what I kind of thought as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to jump on you a little bit for your question, but
no, I was just gonna say that's kind of, I was curious what your answer was, because I feel like I can see the men's game in you when you play. So, but for all the reasons that you said, that's why I was curious.
Yeah, so just to confirm, Karson did text me like 15-20 minutes before the episode and was like, I gotta change my question. So
to be fair, I did know earlier than that. I just wanted to give you a heads up, so when I said it, you weren't like, what?
Right.
Oh my God. Like, I see all these pictures. I'm like, yeah, I'm just fully wearing my brother's pads, like in the backyard.
Like the amount of football pictures I've seen of,
I had to. My mom made me
into football. Yeah, like I've seen. I feel like at least once a football season, I see Corinne in football.
No, there's
pads.
a bunch. I'll send them to you guys.
And they have like names on them, so I just assumed that was her like picture that she was taking when she was. They say about assumptions, but I guess
you weren't far off.
You could have. I could have.
I wanted to. I wanted to.
You and Karson should do the Oklahoma drill, one-on-one, and see who comes.
Oh my God.
She would beat my butt. I'm not aggressive at all.
Awesome. So moving on to this upcoming season, I'm curious, the past few years in college lacrosse and really all college sports, the transfer portal has taken off. It's been super crazy. I told Karson she should have taken her 5th year at Mercer University, my alma mater, but anyways, if she did that, she wouldn't have gone to the NCAA tournament probably. Anyways,
or won a championship.
hey, they always used to win the Big South, and now I don't even know what the name of the conference is. They changed conference. I can't. Anyways, sticking with Corinne and Drexel, I'm curious, what made you want to stay for your 5th year? Because a player of your talent, I would assume that if you wanted to transfer somewhere, you could have if it was a bigger name school. So I'm curious, what made you want to stay at Drexel?
Yeah, I actually get this question a lot, and I will tell people the same thing. It would be impossible to leave a program, a team, a coaching staff like the one that we have. I think for me personally, like I'm not done here yet. There's a lot more, like you said, my numbers and everything went up every year, and I don't think I'm at my full potential yet, and I have so much more to do here. I have goals to set, and I think doing it with this team, like the team around me has helped me. The team above me that like graduated and the team below me, like I think we've been through so much together that it would be impossible to walk away. And the coaching staff, they've just been amazing, and they've been setting me up for success. And I think, just like I said, leaving a program like Drexel, from being a part of the team that was at the NCAA 3 times, like winning a CAA, being in the CAA tournament, like I'm not done yet. So I'm ready to stay.
Hey, that's great to hear, because it's easy to go chase a ring. We see it every offseason. So props to you, respect to you for that. And also, it's not a bad thing that you stayed because your head coach, Katie O'Donnell, you can go one-on-one with her and up your skills. She's pretty good. So
Yeah. Yep. Happens quite often at practice. She
you
likes
ever
she
like
likes to
elbow her,
put
you
on
know?
shoulder.
You should go one-on-one and just give her the business, you know, just give a little elbow on the turn, you know.
I'll try.
Oh, that's funny. I feel like Drexel, like you made it this far at this point. You've been through this much. You might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you said I have like two-parters. I'm adding this one. What are your team's goals this season?
I think just every year is just to make it farther than we did the year prior. We have a much different team this year. Obviously, every year you have a new team. But with my class, like being the 5th year class, like we have a lot of leaders and a lot of people that are going to step up and have stepped up. So I think just like keeping the foot on the gas and just bringing the younger guys with us and just learning as we go. And, you know, every team and every season is different. We have a pretty tough schedule this year, but I'm really excited about it. So I think we can do it, but it's just going to take a lot of work. But this team has like the hardest work ethic that I've ever seen. So I think going into this season, there's a lot of hope and there's goals to, you know, make it farther. But I think just taking it game by game and practice by practice and just making each other better on the side is really what we're focusing on.
Spoken like a true diplomat. I love it. So to reach all of those goals, what are your keys to success this upcoming season?
I think just continue what I'm doing, continue what the team's doing, just like what you said earlier, like kind of just doing the things that I do that when people aren't looking, you know, like you said, like people now know my name, and not letting that get to me and just doing the things that I did before people did know my name and bringing my teammates along with me. I think my goal is to just be better every year. Like I said, I don't think I've reached my ceiling yet. And I'm 23 years old in my 5th year. So that's pretty cool and pretty exciting. I just think to just like have fun with it. Like just cherish every moment that I have because it's going to go by really, really fast.
Yeah, you're old, aren't you?
Oh God. Why you gotta say it like that?
She just said 23 in her 5th year, and I was like, I was 23 last year.
I repeated 1st grade.
I forgot.
Here you go. Because I played football too hard at recess. I would fall asleep during class, and my teacher went to my mom and was like, "Mrs. Bednarik, we have to hold Corinne back because she falls asleep after lunch." So there you go. I did play football at recess.
So football is still part of your villain origin story.
Yeah,
You are now older because you played football at recess.
Exactly.
Which gives you an advantage.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have been a year older. I would have been like a 6th year or graduated. So
before you
August
came on,
birthdays.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said August birthdays. You know,
the
that's
cutoff.
right. Yeah.
Right. We've had this kind of. Okay, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Before you came on, David, we were talking about how I never know what grade Corinne is in. Like I literally thought she was graduating like last year, and then this year I thought she was a year younger, and then I just never know what grade. And that could also be part of it, is that you are a weird age for your grade.
I'm just old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're 23, that makes Karson like 32?
Yeah, about
something like that.
All right.
I have 2 follow-up questions to that. One, you mentioned your teammates. I wanted to ask you about one in particular, Jinnaka Kuoko.
Mm-hmm.
How has she looked this fall? I think I was blown away with her last year. I think she's the best goalie to ever come through Drexel, okay? I mean, she's just insane. How has she looked this year? Is she taking a big second-year jump, or what have you seen from her?
I mean, she's phenomenal. Like, she drives me crazy at practice because she's saving all my shots. You know, iron sharpens iron. But, I mean, she's such a great presence to have, like, on the defensive side, like great communicator, great leader, and she's just getting better every year. I mean, she's only technically in her sophomore season. She's just amazing. Like she really brings the team up from the defensive end and it carries all the way through the attacking end. So I'm super excited for her for this year. I think she's going to have an even better year than she did last year.
That's exciting as a fan because she was good.
She's amazing.
And then my second question is, going into your 5th year, what about your game specifically are you looking to improve?
I think just all around, like defense, offense, around the crease, up top, just being the most versatile player I think I can be, like on the draw controls, like getting that possession for my team, bringing it down to the offensive side, bringing it in transition. I think just like there's not really a specific thing that I can think of. I think just being that all-around player that I always have been. I'm never set in stone in one spot or one thing. I'm always kind of doing everything. So I think just focusing on that. Like, I know there's games where like I'm maybe not having the assists or the goals, and I just need to focus on doing the little things like getting the draws and getting ground balls and cause turnovers in the ride. Like, I think it all like trickles down to every little thing that makes all the big things even better.
Very cool. And hey, the draw control record is within reach. Okay, it is within reach. I checked this. I checked the record book. Okay.
No.
I saw that. I was checking the other day. I'm like, there's no way I'm beating Karson, but that's the goal. I'm following in your footsteps. And I'm going to try to beat you. It's a form of flattery.
Fair goal. That's a fair goal. I can't be upset about it. I understand.
Hey, Karson has told me multiple times that you are like the better version of her. Okay, so she speaks very highly of you.
Karson.
I've always said that. I said if anybody's gonna beat it, it's still Corinne is the only one that's allowed to beat anything of mine.
Yeah,
the only one. I can convince myself I had a hand in it. So really, it's like I get a 30%.
Yeah.
I get like 5% of that record.
You get some equity in that.
So she's the only one. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So, I have an answer in mind for this that I think might be your answer, but I'm interested to see what your answer actually will be. Through your eyes, what is left for you to accomplish? You said you want to go further than you did last year. You want to be a better player. You're still improving. What is left for you to accomplish in the 2023-2024 season, your final as a Drexel Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I think just like being the best version of myself. I'm not really sure what there is for me after college, like besides work and like, adulting in real life. But I think just like hopefully I just get better this year and, like hopefully not cap out, but like just make sure like that I feel amazing and that I gave everything I got and like no regrets, but like also like just like having fun at the same time. Like I know I keep saying that, but like it really is such a different mindset going into like a fifth year and like your last season playing a sport that you've played since like you were 6-7 years old. I think just being the best all-around player I can be, that's like really the only answer I can give you. And I think just like hopefully getting a ring this season and making it to the tournament. So
awesome. I'm curious. So you've been to the tournament 3 years in a row. I thought part of your answer was going to be to win an NCAA tournament game. So I'm curious, what do you think about that? Does that drive you, or where does that fall in your?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely like that is like the ultimate goal. Like I'm not really sure if I answered your last question properly, but that is like the goal is to like win an NCAA like a game. Like I know like what I said earlier, like we want to make it further than we did the year before, and like we always get to that point, but have never really been able to capitalize on it. But we get so close, and I think we are so very capable of doing that, but like we can't do that without everything else prior to that. So it's yes, we have that main goal and that big end goal, but I think we can't get there until we win our first game against I'm not really sure who we're playing, but we win our first game and then we're playing Maryland again. So like it's from that very first game against either Binghamton or Wagner, and then when we play Maryland, like that's all gonna be like up in the air. You don't know. So just every little game leads up to that point, and if we don't play every single game like it's our last, like we won't get to that point.
That's interesting. So I have actually two questions for both you and Karson. So Karson, you mentioned last year you wish they had played Maryland later in the year. What are your thoughts on them playing Maryland early in the year?
Do you play them early in the year this year again?
I'm not sure. I honestly haven't even seen my schedule.
Oh, I thought you said it was the second game. My bad. You can ignore that question. Never
mind.
I think that there's perks to both, to answer your question. I think that Drexel gets to marinate if you play them later, which is positives for Drexel, but then also Maryland gets to marinate, which could be an issue as well. So I don't know, but I think that
Corinne Bednarik gets to marinate.
There's positives and negatives to both.
And then my second question, so it's interesting because obviously y'all did get an at-large bid last year, which was a little shocking, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I sent Karson a video. I was like, Drexel got in, and she was like, wait, what? Anyways,
I clearly pay a lot of attention.
Sorry, anyway, I got sidetracked. What was I about to say? So you're not in like the ACC or the Big Ten.
No.
where it's common to get an at-large bid. Do you feel extra pressure? And Karson can answer this as well. Is there extra pressure playing in the CAA knowing that if you don't win the conference, the chances of you making the NCAA tournament are a lot less?
I mean, yeah, like we didn't win the CAAs last year and we didn't even make it to the semifinals or the championship game. So like not even making it farther than we did when we like had the first two, like coming in second place and then actually winning and getting two at-large bids and then not getting like a ring last year and not getting to the semifinal game and then we get a bid. Like that was huge and like very eye-opening that like people see our potential. I don't think there's a lot of pressure because they're all very completely different conferences and like very well respected. But I just think like being in the CAA like definitely is you have to win your tournament to get a bid. And I think not even getting close to winning and still getting a bid was amazing and really showed that like people are supporting us and can see what we can do and like what we're capable of and that like we are a team that like can compete with big name schools, which is like awesome.
I agree. I think like when I played, there was no pressure to do anything because we weren't winning anything, first of all, which was nice. But then all of a sudden there was no pressure. Like there wasn't pressure because we were winning and we were like, oh my God, we're winning. What's happening? We're winning. So we weren't putting pressure on ourselves because it was all a new experience. Right. And then like the next year there was pressure to get back and win a championship. But I feel like that was the goal. It wasn't like NCAAs. So I think like the at-large bid wasn't as much in our head as like a championship was. I don't know. Corinne can correct me also if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. And then it's nice now that like now there's we've taken off a little bit of pressure, right? Because now people are like, oh, let's keep an eye on Drexel. Before we had to be we had to be on another level, right? Like we had to be like this most insane eye-opening, like flashlight at our heads, like look at us, please.
Yeah.
Whereas like now it's a little bit like nicer. It's a little bit, we can breathe a little bit. We don't have to be perfect and people will still recognize that Drexel's
we're past the fluke point. Where people don't think we're fluke anymore. And it definitely, there's still pressure because we don't want to be like, oh, they only made it 3 years. So there's pressure there, but I think like just making it how far Drexel has, like thinking back on the years like prior is like just like truly so amazing and like what the program has done. So I think like there's nothing to lose. I think that's when we play the best, when we're like, there's nothing to lose here. Like we're gonna just play our hearts out and play like it's our last game because it very well could be in the NCAAs at that point. So I think just playing like we got nothing to lose, put it all out there and see what the outcome is. And a lot of times it leads to winning when we play like that. So
I like what you said about the respect. I think that's a great way to look at it. Drexel definitely has the respect nationally now because I mean, if you go back 2 years ago, Arizona State, they didn't make the tournament and everyone thought they should have. And just going back to last year, you mentioned not being a fluke. I think it was Towson that knocked y'all out in the conference tournament and you still made it over them. So it's like, I think respect is a great way to put it. And people know the Drexel name now. They know that Drexel is a lacrosse school. So it's pretty impressive what y'all have done. So props to both of you.
Thank you.
Cool. Now if only we could get ourselves off of freaking Flow Sports. That our next step to being an actual decent have the decency to be an actual lacrosse school is get ourselves off of a software that makes you pay $30 a month to watch lacrosse games. It is. I will stand on that soapbox. Oh, it bothers me so much. I texted KO about it. Like at least once a year, I send a text to KO like, "Hey, when are we getting off of Flow Sports? I'd love to watch you guys play, and I can't afford it." So
Karson's still broke coming through PT school.
Oh yeah, like I got at least one more year before I can watch Drexel lacrosse play any conference games.
I like how you said still broke. Karson's been broke for a minute.
I've been broke for so long. I'm only going on my 7th year of school.
She'll be making
it. Don would help her out.
Okay. Yeah, if we could get on that, Corinne, that'd be awesome.
What?
Getting you guys off of Flow Sports.
Oh yeah.
Whoever you gotta talk to him.
Okay.
Well, the Flow Sports wouldn't be so bad if it didn't knock you off. When you can only have one person signed in at a time. And so that's
really?
why. Yeah, so it's like if I'm watching didn't we try that last year, Karson? I gave you or Abby the login, and it kicked the other one off when the other one signed in.
Yeah, like you can only have. No, so like if I want to watch, like you can't even like Yeah, so every person that wants to watch has to pay $30.
Yeah.
Insane. It's insane.
I mean, if
It was
I'm
13
saying,
when I played. $13 a month. Inflation is crazy.
We just got good too, I think. So maybe we really want to watch.
Karson, you have to say that Corinne is worth the price of admission. Okay, come on.
Listen, I just simply don't have $30 a month. I can't. Corinne is worth everything, but I can't build money. I can't make it. I don't have it. Anyway, so my very last question for you is, which you kind of, which I feel like every athlete goes through this, like, what is life for me when I'm done playing sports? Like, you just kind of are like, okay, done. Now I'm all done, you know? So my question for you is, what are your life plans? Like, what is next for you? I know it's a year away, so I know it's still far, but what are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe some rec flag football leagues, like what you're doing. You know, you got a championship game soon. Definitely, like, probably work. Drexel, shout out Drexel Co-op, always hooking us up. Potentially we'll have a job after I graduate, which would be nice. But I think just like hopefully not hanging up the cleats yet, but like that reality, like everyone has to hang up your cleats at some point. So as much as I don't want to, it's sad, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to answer that. I think just going into the corporate world as everyone else does, I guess, after college, unfortunately. But yeah, lacrosse wise, I'm not really sure.
That's okay. I wasn't really asking lacrosse wise because that's a hard.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
No. I just was curious I knew you were like business. I was just curious what like you were looking at in that realm.
Yeah. Something in business, you know. We'll figure it out.
Would you ever
so
coach?
Broad.
What?
Would you ever
so
coach?
Broad.
Oh, we're both talking at you.
I'd probably like not really, like maybe on the side. I do like I am like involved in executive search. That's like my co-op, and like I'm working part-time too. So I really like that. I'm like professionally stalking, so it's really fun.
That is awesome.
I like find like CFOs, CEOs, COOs.
Yeah, you're like a headhunter.
Yeah, I'm like a headhunter, but for like a company. So
you should hire
That's
yourself.
So cool.
It's really fun. I like it. I'm doing that now. So hopefully like I continue to do that when I graduate. That would be ideal. So
see, that was my question. That wasn't so scary. That was cool. I asked because there's so many cool jobs out there. What do you want to do with your
life? I'm like starting to twitch. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, please stop asking me. No, that wasn't so hard. I was just curious. Okay. It's fun to hear people's like jobs always.
Yeah.
You should hire Karson. Get her a CEO job.
Yeah, something that I'm sure I'm not qualified for. Just because we're friends.
So sticking with lacrosse, would you ever want to get into coaching at any level, or what are your thoughts on that?
Probably not. Like, I think I love coaching, and I love like teaching kids the game of lacrosse, like the game that like I love the most. I think like if anything, it'd be like a side thing, or like I wouldn't really ever get into it fully. Like if people needed help, or like it would probably be like small kids, like little camps and stuff, but I wouldn't really like scope out to do it. Because I think, like I said, I think I hopefully will be lined up with a job when I graduate. But if I did, it would be on the side, and it would be like with little kids and kind of just watching them like grow, like start to love a sport that like me and Karson obviously grew up like loving our whole life. And like when you get to watch kids like do that, I think that's super cool, but I wouldn't do it for my job, but I do think it would be really cool to do on the side.
I feel like kids are cool
if you want any private lessons, hit up Corinne Bednarik.
Yeah. I feel like kids are fun to coach too, because you can like, we know the like things that you're like, if you can get these 6 things and do them all the time, you're gonna be so good in 20 years. Like you can make them so malleable. They're so malleable.
I know. They're like sponges too. They just like take in information.
Yeah, exactly.
Something I'm curious about, do you plan on staying in the Pennsylvania area? I'm just curious because I interviewed Scotty Rose Grounding a few years ago, and obviously she played at UNC, and I was like, so are you gonna stay? Yeah, I was like, so are you gonna stay in Carolina? She's like, no, I'm going back to Pennsylvania. And obviously you're already there, so I'm just curious, like, do you
Yeah.
plan on staying there, or do you want to go to North Carolina, be roommates with Karson, or go out west?
Please.
Honestly, I'm a homebody. Like, I definitely will be out of the city. I am not a city person at all. I've learned that here at my years at Drexel. I'm not a city person. I like the suburbs. I like being away from lots of noises and crowds and people. But I don't know. I'll probably move home. Hopefully not longer than a year after college, save some money. I would be willing to like move to Boston, or like, I feel like farthest I would go is Boston, and farthest I would go would be like the Carolinas. I wouldn't really go any further than that. You can take a plane, but you can also drive. I feel like it's pretty logical.
Hey, North Carolina is great. It's amazing. I love North Carolina.
Do you live in North Carolina too?
No, I was born there and I have family
Oh.
there, so I go and visit.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's very calm. It's very peaceful. It's a bunch of
I've
small
heard such
towns.
great things. Yeah,
That's an awesome state. I can
Yeah.
vouch.
I've heard.
Hey, you
I've
can go
heard
stay with Karson for a weekend and go check it out.
I know.
I just
We have
invited
talked
you.
I've
about
been
it.
begging her. I've been
No, we
begging
talked about it.
her.
I was like, oh, you have to wait till I'm graduated because there's no way I can escape right now.
I know.
She's
which is
making
fair.
excuses. She's always going to Johns Hopkins. She can go down to Carolina.
It's like an extra 5 hours south.
I was like, an hour and 45 with the cars isn't too shabby.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you leave us with this? Why do you wear number 2?
I used to be number 23 in college, and that was taken. I mean, in high school, and that was taken.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, number 2, and I was like debating on changing it when whoever was 23 graduated, and I was like, no, everyone knows me as 2. I have all my gear as 2. Growing up, I was always like, it was always alphabetical, so I was always like 3 or 4 when it was like the Under Armour All-American games or like the Philly tournament like teams. I was always like 3 or 4, just alphabetical. I was number 2. There was honestly no history behind 2. I just like clung to it once it was given to me. I always had the mindset, I'm like, any number that's given to me in college, I'm gonna cling to, because like that's who I am. Like, I feel like that's just like who you are. Like, oh, that's so and so. You know, all the parents getting to know you and like people and like other teams. But no history behind it. Just a cool number.
Yeah, Karson, I can't see her wearing 23. That would feel weird. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that would feel weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, double
I was
digit.
with Carol. Was Carol there when you were there?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she's the reason why I couldn't get it. 'Cause she was, I think, the 5th year. Or yeah,
Come on, Carol.
I love her so much. I was like, she can have it.
Yeah, it would have been weird.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any final thoughts, Karson?
No, thanks so much for coming on. I'm so happy to talk to you, and you were awesome. You were a pleasure.
I know. Thank you guys for having me. That was so much fun. Like, miss you, Karson. David, I'm glad we were able to like have a conversation.
I thought you were about to
Back and forth.
say, I miss you too, David.